There it goes. Okay, people should be able to see me. Oh, here I am. All right. For some reason, it's working in my in Opera. I don't know why. It's working, which means I can now share it direct. So I'll do that. I'll share it to Facebook and Twitter direct. Why suddenly is it working in Opera? I don't get it. I'm glad actually, because I accidentally logged into Chrome on my. For some reason, I don't know why, I logged into Chrome on my spare account. I think it's because I logged in there the other day because for some reason it's something to do with Android, and now it thinks that I could have gone back and sort of fixed it, but I didn't have time. And so I'm quite glad that it does actually work on this account. And Twitter's taking ages to open. I'll tell you what, I'm waiting. I will share. I'll share the live stream around Facebook. Hopefully there'll be people in chat right now. I'm just waiting for Facebook to reload. It's going slow tonight, guys. Here I am. Share to a group. And here we go. I'll just share my usual groups. Hope everyone is all right. I don't like to share it to like groups, all my stuff to all groups, because it just feels like just false advertising if you're just sharing it everywhere. Where is the? Oh, here it is. Good evening. How are you all? Oh, it says I'm not. You might be experiencing buffering. Oh dear. Hopefully not. But anyway, Rick Horden, good evening. Paul Armstrong, good evening. Elizabeth Clayton, Clopite, Woody Black says, I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Oh, classic. What a classic line. Sorenable, hello. Thanks, Paul Armstrong. You'll recognise this T-shirt. Woody Black, can you see? It says, I've got a new webcam. Do you like it? It says, they are happy because they eat lard. Issued by the Lard Information Council. If you don't know what this is about, watch my video called Weird Weekend North. Hey, Clopeye. Is it from Viz? Oh, right. Rhiannon Jones. Hi, Rhiannon. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. David Schultz, greetings. He's gay. I came in to chew bubble and kick ass and all out of bubblegum. Great, yeah. Where's Charles? Well, Charles was Rick Horden. Charles actually put a comment just a few minutes ago on the notice, so I'll be going over to notice comments very soon. Hello, Lisa. How do you do? Hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining us, Lisa. Hello, Steve071. Israel Diego Rivera, genius to the real genius. They live. You sleep, they live. Yeah. Oh, it is Vid, is it? It's Viz, right. Your cred level has risen. Oh, yeah, I love Viz. Viz is hilarious. Welsh Ripper, tally-ho. Gary Robinson. Afternoon, Ben, mate. Wagwan. Is that Afrikaans? Hugo Rune, good evening. Spliffs and beer ready. Yep, in that order. I sent you an email, Hugo. I don't know if you got it. It was a bit. It was sad news about something. John Kierkegaard. Hello, how are you? Paul Armstrong says, I'm getting one of those T-shirts. Now I'm using Opera, I've got to work out exactly how I do the zoom thing. Appearance. Privacy, security, default browser, bigger tiles, show news, block ads. Oh, hang on. Right, okay, I'll work it out. What's this? Anyway, I was going, what else was that? Yeah, good movie choice. Thanks. Lisa says, I think the lard eating seriously affected me. It was something, it was something that I was roped into in 2018. Well, I did agree to it. Now, how do I zoom in? What's this? Pinboards. Snapshot. Easy setup. Right, I don't know how you zoom in. Oh, hang on, I'll just try putting Control Plus or something. Maybe that'll do the trick. Yeah, it does. Oh, good. So it works the same. I'm on 150%. Yeah, yeah. The lard thing was Lisa in 2018. I thought I said 2017. It wasn't. It was 2018. I was roped into a lard eating contest after Richard Freeman talked about southern pussies. I couldn't because he was trying to goad people into joining the lard eating. Are you guys getting buffering? Because I've got a warning now. I'm getting buffering. Think about it. So I got my new webcam. I don't know if you like it, but my new webcam's arrived, which was necessary. Yeah, which was, remember the old one? It's not getting the flickering now, is it? Paul Armstrong. Yeah. Oh, don't give Lisa a hard time about Thursday night. Don't. Charles, hello. I got your message about Terry Joyce's live stream. I'll see what I can do. Scarfolk. Rick Horden says this looks Scarfolk. Yeah, you have Scarfolk was like this imaginary town set in the 70s. It's all part of the Haunted Generation thing. Bob Fleischer was talking about it. Hello, Kerry Woolley. Is Joe Biden one of them? Almost certainly, yeah. And Kerry says Johnson's hair resembles a They Live haircut. Jeff, I'm glad you liked it. I mean, I'm trusting you guys have seen. Thanks, Steve. Steve's not getting buffering. Good. No buffering, says Rhiannon. That's great. Nor Woody Black. Thank you. Yeah, the new webcam was necessary. My old new one, which only lasted about a few months, started flickering, if you remember, and I had to go back to my spare one, my old crappy one, and then I thought I've got to get a new one now. But I haven't got the same model as last time. It's not going to last that long. Yeah. But anyway, Clockbite, hello. The great switch off, 10 p.m. tonight. Well, you see, Clockbite, how do I switch off the TV when I don't even switch it on in the first place? Hardly ever. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you joining me tonight. This is the live stream. This is the third part of this watch party where we discuss the issues raised in the film They Live. And I'm trusting you guys have all seen it. This is the point was for this, you actually see it. Hello, Temporal Transmissions. How are you? Someone's asked if Joe Biden is one of them. The one of them, of course, being these alien creatures. They Live, of course, is about... hello, Armand Adams. Greetings. Rick Horden, Pelosi is 100% liver. A liver, yeah, 100% livers. That's a good name for them, isn't it? Livers. She certainly looks like one. The thing is, she looks like one seen through the glasses, doesn't she? Nancy Pelosi looks skeletal and glassy-eyed, just like these aliens do. Barry Degenerate K, hello. Barry, is that your name, Temporal? Hello, how are you? You see, the film is about that, about how aliens are walking around in human form. They look like humans because humans' brains are manipulated via some kind of electronic signal, which causes people to perceive things differently, perceive things that aren't there. And that's how these aliens stay hidden. They stay hidden because all people of the world... Hello, User One. Greetings. All the people of the world are essentially cast under an artificial hypnotic spell, and which allows the aliens in the eyes of people under this spell, under this control, this mind control, the aliens look just like us. They do seem to, even when through the glasses, they make themselves look like us as much as they can. They wear our clothes. They have wigs on, or they have hair like ours. Although at first you only see their faces being different. However, in the final scene of the film, you see, of course, a naked alien, and you realise that their whole bodies are different too. They have a kind of their skin. It looks a bit like ours, but their skin is a strange colour. It's a kind of dark. It's a very dark purple, black with dark purple blotches. So, and that, of course, the final scene's the most dramatic because, ah! She's hidden in plain sight. Yeah, hidden in plain sight. Of course, Steve071 says the film director Carpenter knows the score when it comes to this movie. He's in the club. He does seem to be. I think he must do. I mean, because he very vehemently denied. People made several accusations about him over this film, and which he vehemently denied. Come on, that's it. I'll just get up. I'll find the details. Someone actually posted this as a comment actually on Facebook. I mean, it may be easier to find it there, which is very helpful. If I could find it. Right. The film is someone wrote here, the film is a social narrative on present times, Ben. That means the late 1980s. I'm sure John Carpenter knows much more about the larger agenda, having been able to make this impressive little film. And someone else says underneath, he denies it and denied it back in the day. It was more about Reagan's politics than conspiracy, according to JC. Indeed, Carpenter did actually say this. There's this little thing here. This is from Esquire.com. In 2017, you took to Twitter to denounce an anti-Zionist reading of the film. You wrote, quote, "They live is about yuppies and unrestrained capitalism. It has nothing to do with the J word, control of the world, which is a slander and a lie. As a filmmaker, you put a movie out and you're relatively powerless as to how it's going to be perceived and consumed. What is the experience like to see your own work embraced, no matter how wrong-headedly, by a hate group?" I can't see the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, this is an important point. He didn't really, I think he didn't really expect any different. People are going to see things differently. And I actually wrote in reply here, he has the film has a lot of left-wing themes. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I mean, some of the dialogue, it's very clear, that especially the descriptions of the aliens by the resistance who know them, who say they're free enterprises, they're into unrestrained capitalism, we're their third world. This is a business opportunity for them. So that obviously the aliens, therefore, are very similar to runaway corporate greed. And they say we are their third world. So Carpenter may have been talking about, it may have been a satire of corporate imperialism, which was a big issue in the 80s. And this, especially how it affected places like South America. But yeah, I think Roddy Piper appeared to this had a big effect on him actually. I'm just going to say hello to new people who have arrived. By the way, I've never seen Nancy Pelosi naked, and I don't particularly want to. But she probably has that kind of skin as well. Steve071, when was the signal unblocked? Well, when the signal was unblocked? Yeah. It's interesting, the time when the signal was unblocked and people can see everything. And David Schultz says it's similar to the TV series V. Yeah, that's similar. That's based on an Arthur C. Clarke novel actually called Childhood's End, which is about reptilian aliens arriving on Earth and visiting to us. And Charles says it wasn't written by Carpenter, it was written by Ray Nelson in 1963. Yeah, well, Nelson wrote the original short story on which the film is based, but Carpenter co-wrote the script. 8 o'clock in the morning. I ought to read that, yeah. He's still alive, Ray Nelson. He's 90. I checked it out. He's got his own website. I wonder what he thinks about the modern world, about how similar it is. Are the Royals Closet aliens, Diego Rivera? Yeah, basically. I know that sounds very brazen of me to say it so openly, but yes, I do think that. George McKinley says, "Hi George, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. I know you're a keen listener to Herpanwo Radio. I'm glad you're watching Herpanwo TV now. Hey Ben, hope all is well. Keep up the good work with the shows. All the best, George. Thanks." Kloppite, when are we doing a Herpanwo meetup? That'd be, well, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? I mean, we did have Dreaming Saucers in 2018, which I know some of you came along to, which is really good. We should do that again, yeah. Good evening, Body Technician. Woody Black says Nancy Pelosi's got a tail. Probably. Hello, Bernie Tucker. Don't worry about being late. Joe Charles says V was not based on Childhood's End. It was based on a book called It Couldn't Happen Here, 1943, way before Clark. All right. Yeah, Clark actually, his first novel was actually not a sci-fi novel. His first one was about World War II, which was published just after the war, I think. Steve-O71, sadly, Roddy Piper died a couple of years ago. He died in July of 2015. The reason I know so precisely, Steve, is because it happened during the Basis Project conference, and we did little tributes to him. Welsh Ripper says, off topic, sorry Ben, 22 minutes in, to Tom Hanks' Greyhound movie, he says to the radar operator, "Is your name Epstein?" Oh, that's the one about the battleship, isn't it? I've not seen that. He plays a battleship captain in the Battle of the Atlantic. Yeah. Diego Rivera, have aliens infiltrated humanity from the start of history? Yeah, basically, according to mythology, yes. I mean, there's mythology about how an extraterrestrial race has interacted with us from the ancient world. I mean, you know all about stuff. You know a lot about, for example, Genesis chapter 12, you know, the Nephilim, things like that we talked about before, and the Elohim, the giants, and that the Elohim, which is a plural word in Hebrew, if it's got im on the end, it's plural, just like s is added to a word to make it a plural in English. So it's not God, it's gods. They came down, saw the daughters of men that they were fair, took of them many wives, who gave them many heirs, who became the wise men of renown. Now that implies that alien human hybridization to create a bloodline of a certain elite families, the wise men of renown. That is celebrities, royalty. The Anunnaki, says David Schultz. Yeah, that's Sumerian. That's one of the oldest versions of this myth, although it exists in the folklore of southern Africa and also Central America. The Aztecs and the Incas and people like that, and the Maya, those cultures all sound similar, don't they? Jeff Sperry, a lot of those wrestlers die young, too much juice in their veins. Well, these days, it depends what you mean by juice, doesn't it? However, So, the body technician suggested we meet up somewhere. That would be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be nice to meet. Hello, Stuart Morris. How are you? So, and Rick Horn mentions the Dogon. Yeah, now this is very interesting. Because, Paul Armstrong, we are talking about They Live. It's just Ben goes down a rabbit hole, and I won't get me They Live fix. I know. This is about They Live. We're talking about the possibility that we maybe, despite what John Carpenter said, maybe we should interpret this allegory more literally. I mean, he himself says he himself understands very well that he's not responsible. He has no control over how some people are going to interpret his films. And it has been interpreted in various different ways. The aliens have seen as an allegory for all kinds of things. As I said, he intended it to be sort of runaway corporate greed and yuppies. He mentions yuppies. And the aliens in the film are kind of like rich people. They're posh people mostly. Yet others have said no, no, no. It's the J, the J word, control of everything. Which is very popular on the dissident right. This idea that the J words that can control everything. I actually don't think that's the case. I made a video saying so, and it got banned for hate speech. Orbit 80. They live. We eat lard. Oh, God. I don't know if the aliens eat lard. A record said Carpenter had to say that to cover his back. Well, David Icke says this. David Icke asked the question, should we... Does John Carpenter know more than he makes out? I've only actually watched two John... I've watched... How many John Carpenter films have I watched? I've watched Big Trouble in Little China, which is very good. It's a kind of action comedy. The Thing, which is a fantastic horror movie. And They Live. Those are the only John Carpenter films I've watched. Is it possible he knows more than he's making out? Lisa says, well, many now believe we were created by aliens. We're not now to do with chimps. Well, there are distinct... how long have they been with us? How long have they been influencing our planet, Lisa? For example, I did an interview with Reese Cook the other day. It hasn't been broadcast yet, but... it hasn't been broadcast yet. However, I did make the point, that alien abduction appears to be perennial. It's quite likely there was things such as alien abduction and UFO close encounters in prehistoric times. At the same time, there's certain... Charles says, you must have seen Christine. No, I haven't seen Christine. What's it like, Charles? Maybe you recommend it, Charles. Maybe I will check that out. That maybe these creatures, this influence from other worlds, has been with us since the beginning. Maybe since we evolved as a species. Maybe we evolved in that way. Lisa mentioned we don't have anything to do with chimps. Well, Richard Dawkins, of course, is very, very passionately believes. He gets very angry with people who disagree that we are indeed, we're not descended from chimps, but we are both chimps and humans are descended from the Ardipithecus, which is an ape that lived 5 million years ago. It's upright ape, but the chimps then went back to arboreal life, climbing trees, and we stayed on the ground and developed flat feet and things like that. But Christine, everyone's recommending Christine by John Carpenter, right? You are. Okay. You twisted my arm. Rick says, have you seen the Abomination masquerading as Madonna recently? She looks almost as bad as Michael Jackson, doesn't she? What has she been doing to herself? She looks like a bloody alien. And Steve says, yeah, the lead female, Meg Foster, has mesmerizing blue eyes. She is very attractive. Yeah, her voice as well is very sensual. She's good, very, very good choice of actress to play that role. But I suppose there's that question of who is she, because I want to bring on the role of Holly actually, because Rhiannon interprets it as her having snake eyes. She has these unusual eyes. I thought they were quite pretty, but her role is interesting because she seems to go full circle, doesn't she? Nada meets her by chance. He basically needs to ride out, so he hijacks a car, and she happens to be the driver. He's becoming ill because of the interference from the glasses, and he demands she takes him to her home. He tries to reassure her, tries to be friendly, make conversation with her. And she bashes him over the head with a bottle and throws him out the window. Then later on, of course, she appears at the resistance. And you realise that she is like a member of this resistance. And Rhiannon says, never trust a woman with blue eyes. That reminds me of that line from that film. That really weird horror film. The Company of Wolves. Never trust a man whose eyebrows meet in the middle. Diego Rivera, the English Bigfoots. Yeah, you've got to ask about that. But English Bigfoots are another thing. But going back to the subject of our evolution, there are distinct differences between humans and other other primates, which indicates that we somewhere along the line we diverge very, very much. For example, you look at a chimp and a gorilla; they have a lot in common. Also, does orangutans and other things. What they have in common is for example, they're not aquatic in any way. If you see them crossing a river, they're very, very careful not to get out their depth. And that's because their nose faces forwards, their nostrils face forwards. If their head goes underwater, their airway will flood immediately, and they very easily drown. Humans, on the other hand, have nostrils that point downwards. We have this bell-shaped nose with nostrils pointing downwards, which actually traps an air bubble in our nose. So you can actually put your head underwater without pinching your nose closed, and your airway will not flood, at least until you go down to a certain depth when the pressure forces the water into your nose. As long as you keep your head upright, you won't go into your nose. Also, another difference, our skin. Our skin is more like that of a pig. Apes, gorillas, chimps, they're covered with fur. They have skin, and they don't have a subcutaneous layer of fat. They have fur. Humans don't have fur, except in few places, like on top of our heads. In my case, not even there. And the rest of our skin is bare, is completely devoid of fur, except for like these little hairs you get on here, like these little hairs. So what we have is a layer of subcutaneous fat, which is common among pigs and several other animals, including also aquatic animals such as whales and dolphins, the cetaceans. They have smooth skin without hair and a layer of subcutaneous fat. Humans have that too. How did we evolve that? Yeah, where are we now? Yeah, just going through all your comments, guys. Greg, actually, Lloyd Pye might disagree about our ancestry. Yeah, I mean, Richard Dawkins goes nuts when he meets people who disagree with him about that. But it's possible we evolved naturally into what we are. Maybe we were an aquatic ape. Rhiannon mentions the book Aquatic Ape. Yeah, and I've seen a documentary about that. And someone is written by a Welsh woman. Right. Diego Vera says, what about the Watchers? Are they observing us? I think they're active. They're actively involved in controlling this planet still, yeah. Woody Black says, I'm not sure I believe in evolution anymore. It started to look like a deception. Richard Dawkins, oh, how could you? You're a yapping terrier of ignorance. For some reason, Indians have no facial hair. Should be Amerindians. They don't grow as much beard as the rest as white people do. Yeah, they just got much less. Right, Benji. Hello, Benji. Spoiler: the scene where it's all right. Don't worry about spoilers, Benji. This is the live stream. I'm assuming everyone on the live stream has seen the film now. This is a watch party. Now, Benji makes the point that when Holly kills Frank, it's so shocking. I don't think they would allow that scene in these post-George Floyd times. Yeah, there is. Of course, this film is dated in that way. Holly, the role of Holly is very interesting. Like I said, is very interesting because she's in the resistance. Of course, when she meets up with Nada at the resistance meeting, she's enormously apologetic for what she did to him, and she very humbly apologizes. However, of course, later then, of course, as Benji's pointed out, she goes full circle. Steve says in the fight scene where Roddy's trying to show his friend that the sunglasses show the aliens, it was at the time the longest fight sequence in movie history. Yeah, Steve, as I mentioned, I tend to forward wind through it, I'm afraid, when I watch the film today. But there's a reason why it's so long, and I think it's so long and it drags so much. Hello, Tina, how are you? Right, Rhiannon says it was Elaine Morgan as the author of The Aquatic Ape. I've seen a documentary about The Aquatic Ape. Very interesting. Charles says, come on, Ben, we know why humans develop fat. It's called beer. Certainly, if we develop an excess of it in certain parts of our body. Yeah, Charles. Diego Rivera says, humans get on well with dolphins. Is the reason due to humans having flippers in the past? Well, is it possible, Diego Rivera? We know that dolphins had legs in the past. Dolphins and whales are actually descended from a land animal. It's just what's it called? Cetaceans. Yeah, they're descended from a creature, order Cetacea. That's it. The Cetacea. It's in fact. Sorry, it's running very slow tonight. Their background is very interesting. They were originally a land animal. It's amazing. Anatomy, physiology, ecology, behaviour, life history, disease, evolution, ancestors. This is the I can't. Here we are. We have a list of them here. It's actually there's one branch which includes deers and things like that. On the other side, there's like hippopotamuses and whales on the other side. So they're descended from the hippopotamus. Of course, is a semi-aquatic animal. It can walk, but it also swims. Whales became like a thing like that. They were originally like a semi-aquatic thing, and they went completely aquatic. But could it be that humans did the opposite? That's the question. That's a long way to go around that business, but yeah, it is. Ben did take that challenge. I've got the T-shirt to prove it. Tina mentions that the Dogon were aquatic. Yeah, the Dogon. If you look at images of the Dogon, but not the Dogon. The Dogon were the people, the tribe. They were called the Nomo. The Nomo were these creatures. The Dogons, they live in northeastern Nigeria. There's still some of them around. Are when they were first discovered by the outside world, by explorers, they told the story about how in their past, in their ancestors, in their distant history, they were visited by creatures from the sky who came down in. It appears these were like pods, or these spacecraft, as we would call them, are full of water, and they said these creatures were like fish. It reminds me a bit of that film Arrival, where the creatures, they swim in this they're kind of like squid-like creatures that swim in this misty stuff. Hello, Apollo detectives. Greetings. Hi, how you doing, Robert? You okay? Yeah, the Orion Sirius mystery says, yeah, that's interesting, Diego Rivera. Robert Boval's written about that. Interesting, the Nomo claimed when the explorers asked the Nomo, where do these creatures come from? They pointed to the star Sirius, and they said, it's not that star. There's another one orbiting it. There's another star which orbits it. You can't see it. It's too small. And they drew a line. And they carved on a piece of wood. You could see, where this other star goes. And it's called. Later on, after this, they discovered there was something called Sirius B, which was a little star which orbits the big star. It's a binary system. However, the Nomo didn't have telescopes. The Nomo essentially Stone Aged. They didn't have that technology. So this story is repeated across the world wherever you go. So the Dogon, these Nomo, the Dogon have the Nomo. Cradle Mutua talks about the Chitauri, which is very similar to the Anunnaki. Oh, Steve071 says, Ben, would you consider doing The Day the Earth Stood Still watch along? The 1950s original, of course. Oh, yes. Absolutely, Steve. Oh, no way will I watch that crappy remake with Keanu Reeves ever again. The original one with Michael Rennie, it's fantastic. Tina Silver says the Nomo came from Sirius C. Isn't that odd? Yeah. How did they know, Tina? If it wasn't real. Yeah. Rick Horden says Ben's involvement in that extreme sport is as hilarious as it's disturbing. I don't make a habit of it, Rick. I don't train by eating a packet of lard a day. I'd be dead if I did that. Dr. Respect, hello. Charles says Ben's involvement in most things is disturbing. David Schultz has suggested another John Carpenter film, The Philadelphia Experiment. Oh, right, that wasn't very good, David. I saw that. I thought that it's based, of course, on the the real story of the Philadelphia experiment, but it wasn't that good. Starman. Oh, right. Village of the Damned. The Village of the Damned was quite good. Oh, no, I'm thinking of a different film. I'm thinking of a black and white one based on the John Wyndham novel about the alien hybrid children who appear in this village. Starman. The Ghosts of Mars. Dr. Respect. If nobody was given a name when they were born, what would we call ourselves? Do names actually hide who you really are? Yeah, I don't know. People can change their names. I've known people who do that. Tina says the Midwich Cuckoos. Yes, that's the name of the. That is the name of the book. Yeah. Barry Fridge. Hey Ben, what's your all-time favourite movie? Cloud Atlas, Barry. I've done actually entire. Watch it. I did a Hospital Porter Reacts video about that. Charles says he doesn't believe the absolute rubbish going around that Ben used to mistreat hospital patients. Thank you, Charles. Yeah, that was a horrible piece of slander that someone said about me. Charles, guess who was behind that? Yep, it was the Droid Trolls. Hello, Nihilist Lives Matter. Yep, that's at the Midwich Cuckoos. Rhiannon says the ancient Egyptians believe your name was of immense significance and had magical power. All right. I know that I have a numerology for my name, which is Ben. Ben is 11. Yeah. Jacob, and in a movie. P&D, Brother Porter. Pride and Dignity, Brother Porter. I know who you are. You know. I know a brother whenever I see one. I did. Thanks for coming. I did invite you to join. I've got to see that Midwich Cuckoos film again. Altered. I've not seen Altered 2006. Yeah. No. What I was wondering was like, yeah, I do wonder why. Whether it was something literal, the aliens are actually literally there. They may not look like they do in the film. People who see them appear to describe them as being reptilian in appearance, green, scaly creatures. Charles has recommended another Carpenter film, Near Dark. Right, you are. I've got a big list to watch. But is there something literal about that? I mean, because I talked about Susan Reed, the author. Her real name's Jenny. Actually, her real name's been published. Actually, Jenny Gospel. Her real name is. There's actually a new story about her when she died. Altered States. That was good. Yeah, and Jacob's Ladder. Yeah, recording. By the way, if we're going to watch Jacob's Ladder again, it has to be the original. The remake is awful. I actually gave up on the remake. It was terrible. I mean, The Thing from Another World as well, says David Schultz. Right. But Jenny, this lady Jenny drowned, unfortunately, when she was on holiday, and there was a news story about her. She's quite young, actually. She's only in her 40s. Right, Altered. Right, that sounds good, Nihilist Lives Matter. It's about some abductees who hide out in the woods and they abduct and torture an alien. They usually do it to us, yeah. Eyes Wide Shut, yeah, Dr. Respect. I did a review. I went to see that in the cinema. Yeah, I've never seen it in the cinema. So the question is, like, is there some literally... I don't think there was literally an electronic signal. Woody Black says, David Icke says, the moon broadcasts a signal, which is analogous to the antenna in the movie. Yeah, what David says about the moon doesn't quite make sense. I don't quite... And he mentions Saturn and things like that. I don't think it's it's as simple as it simply being something electronic you can just switch off or shoot at and destroy. Greg Ace, my stepdaughter is a hospital porter. Well, pride and dignity to her. And the signal from Saturn amplified through the moon. Seems. You see, I don't believe this stuff about the moon being artificial. I don't. It may well. It may well have cavities within it, natural or artificial. But I don't believe it's an artificial thing. I think it's something maybe more to do with psychic phenomena. Steve says, have you watched any of the Al Bielek interviews on the Philadelphia experiment, Ben? Yes, I have. I have. Hey, Trevor! Social Dilemma. Pride and Dignity, Brother Porter. Tink123 says, I watched a pirate version of the new Morbius film, Total Pants. Right. I've never heard of that one. Rick Horden, I was a hospital porter for 8 years. Rick, I had no idea. I salute you. Pride and Dignity, brother. I think if we met, I would know straight away. You know, it's just something, I can just sense it. My poor Dar is very good. But I didn't, online you don't necessarily know that. But, I think it's something to do with psychic phenomena. Clotbite, do you believe in the hollow earth? No, I don't. I think there are cavities within the earth, but I don't believe that. No, I did toy with the idea for a while, but nah. Oh, Diego Vera says the Natural History Museum documents every species on this planet. Was Darwin a secret follower if this alien takes over? Dawkins, I think, will probably... God knows what he'll do. What all the skeptics and atheists will do if this happens. I hope they won't end up like the skeptics in my book, Roswell Rising, a Novel of Disclosure. Read it now. Rick, I was delivering food to the world. Oh, Rick, I see you were a kitchen porter. I don't know if that counts. Probably borderline, mate. But that's the question. Is this is a big question. Is there some kind of psychic phenomena involved here? Because the people who say they see the reptilians tend to be the people who have like minor psychic experiences, mediumship appearances, and things like that. So is that the case? I mean, I do. For example, certain people, just meeting and talking to certain people, dealing with them, I feel that I don't have much in common with them. I feel that I don't know about you, but I feel sometimes I've talked to them, and when I realise their behaviour, I think to myself, there's something wrong. I don't feel like, what's the word? I don't feel like I'm the same species, really. The way they behave, their attitudes. They sometimes do things. For example, they can behave in a very negative way, in a way I never would. I think I'm quite a positive person, really. I'm not unpleasant to people unless they're unpleasant to me first. I'll defend myself, I get angry at people, and sometimes I take retributive action on them. Alan Jones, says I'm a natural empath. Yeah, I scored. How much did I score? 15 on the scale. I mean, Rihanna and I were talking about. It was actually an article I wrote on a Panwo Voice that Rihanna and I were talking about privately. I scored very high on that scale, and others don't score much lower. I mean, some people have been horrible at me just for no reason. They're just not for any particular point. It just. And Charles says, you can't assume everyone is nice, Ben. Absolutely. And of course they're not, are they? In fact, this came up. Terry Joyce was talking about this, wasn't she, on a recent live stream where you and I were in the chat. Hello, number one fan. Good evening. That's actually true, isn't it? And Terry was saying this. Social Dilemma says, my mother-in-law is a demon. I'm not joking either. You know what? Demon. What is a demon? A demon is a negative being. The word demon actually is Greek, and it simply means the soul. Yet, in popular use in English, it's come to mean a negative, something, and a spiritual being, something from beyond this world, which is very destructive and cruel. And someone's talking. Who says London Bridge is falling down? Oh my God! Well, we know what that means, don't we? Have you seen the video about that? It's code. The media have made preparations for a little quick trip to when their little quick trip happens to the great reptile house in the sky for a certain lizard that we're all familiar with. Do you reckon? I reckon she's gone. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if she's gone, if she snuffed it, right? She's retired from public life practically anyway. Maybe they're just waiting for the right time to tell us. They did that with Fidel Castro, didn't they? You remember? I reckon Nelson Mandela actually. The same thing with Nelson Mandela. Won't be the royal family after that? Well, this is the question. What's going to happen after London Bridge goes down? Because she's, the big lizard's going to be a tough act to follow for Charles, isn't she? A lot of people don't really see Charles as royal material. Charles says 15% empathy, 85% Falstaff, yeah. But Sir John Falstaff is one of these characters who's very ebullient, so it's a bit like, and very, very positive. Diego Rivera, I'm a very happy person. I sometimes feel down about things, but I try to... I think I'm quite... I do seem to have an ability to look on the bright side of things. Whereas Slaxer, of course, if you watch Slaxer, he tends to let these things consume him, and I try not to, but I do feel... I'm not sort of happy in the sense that, I do feel sad sometimes. Lisa and I talked about that, yeah. Hello, Coffee High, how are you doing? Yes, we have another bad COVID outbreak. Yeah, you do, actually. And it's apparently worse than last February. However, guess what? There's nothing in the news about it. Charles says when people get into their 90s, they slow down. Unless you're William Shatner, then you speed up. They can announce that she's gone any time, can't they? And Jesus is my Lord. That's what it says. Demons are fallen angels. Yeah, the mythology is that Satan was an angel who fell from grace. And Lisa said, the testing centre is shut. Good, Lisa. Isn't that funny, isn't it? COVID cases are now rising. Yeah, all the fuss that was made last time this happened hasn't gone... there's nothing in the news about it. Nothing. It's an emergency stop, like I said. They've just decided... very, very suddenly to abandon this whole idea. There is news about the COVID outbreak in the USA. Well, it's been on the news here, but you've got to look down a few pages to get it. For example, let me just let's just have a look. Let's go to the British Bullshit Corporation and see what they're saying. I'll just show you. Oops, come on. Let me just show you. That's it. All right. So, it's the bloody French elections going on. Oh, damn it! I was going to talk about that. Here we go. Look, NHS under huge strain as A&E turns away ambulances. Oh, now they're saying you've got a blood clot risk for COVID now. COVID week may have peaked in younger groups. No, this would have been on the front page right now, and it would be all over Parliament. That's interesting. Got to cover the bloody lot. They've got to cover this, haven't we? Sorry to go off topic, guys, but Emmanuel Macron is going to face Marine Le Pen. Oh, damn it. What happened to Zemmour? What happened to Eric Zemmour? Damn it. Is he out? I'll have to look into this. So I'm not going to go off topic. I'll look into it afterwards. I didn't realise the French election's gone through very quietly, hasn't it? It's really not been covered at all. I think that's because they're going to. I think that's because they're going to do something which I'll talk about on a future live stream. I think it could be something very decisive. But someone mentions you're supposed to say the C word, Ben, number one fan. Yes, well, you don't. Thing is, number one fan, you don't really have to anymore, do you? It's been forgotten. It's been forgotten. Yes, China apparently is locked down again. Why is that not in the news? Why is it not in the news? Well, yeah, go Le Pen. Oh, God, blimey. The problem is now, Woody Black, what's going to happen is there's going to be what happened last time. They're going to fiddle it. Nihilist Lives Matter said Macron is 5% ahead. That's probably a push poll. And oh, hello, Terry. Terry Joyce is here. Not my rabbit hole with Terry Joyce. Interesting how the jam news seems to have disappeared. Terry, I don't know about what it's like in California, but 6 months ago we couldn't have our grandparents in our house. Now we're saying, come on, bring in 6 Ukrainians. It's a complete emergency stop and a complete about turn, and it's a replacement. It's a massive replacement of one piece of propaganda with another. And Tink says here, wonder if Dominion and Smartmatic are going to rig the French elections. They did last time, Tink. The question is, what are the generals going to do about it? Because they've actually issued a warning that they might actually take action. Now, France is not like Britain. France is is a naturally unstable society. Yeah, France is. You see, everyone hates Macron. He's 5% ahead. Le Pen 23, Macron 28. Yeah, Zemmour only got 7%. That's a shame. I liked Zemmour. He was cool. But Le Pen's almost as good. Le Pen is obviously not. Marine Le Pen is obviously the one they're desperate. She's the French Trump, and they don't want her. Oh, number one fan, yes, smash the like button. Thank you very much. That's interesting, isn't it? I'm keen to. I must do more on that, mustn't I? I must do more. Oh right, Steve071 is trying to get this live stream back on topic. Hello, Jog of Ages. What's your opinion on They Live on a 5-star scale? Oh, it's a 5, Steve. It's excellent. It's outstanding. Woody Black says polling will always underestimate right-wing voters because they don't answer polls. You know, they won't, because the thing about it is that these are push polls. I mean, it could be that these are push polls, as Styx Hexenhammer calls them. In other words, fake polls, not actually designed to gauge public opinion, but to influence public opinion. Coffee High says, Ben, you have a great voice. Have you done any broadcasting? Well, only this, Coffee High, yeah. I mean, honestly, though, if Le Pen doesn't get in this time, what's going to happen if that horrible garlic-chewing little globalist soy boy gets re-elected? Because, as you said, who's actually voting for this little drip? Who is voting for him? Who honestly looks at this little squit? Who's clearly? I mean, the thing about him, he's obviously. You talk to him, right? I've never talked to him, but you look at him. He's obviously gay. I mean, I've got nothing against gay people. I don't care about another man's private life. You know, if someone's, a certain number of people are homosexual, a certain number are bisexual. That's normal. I don't give a damn. But it's just, why doesn't he be honest instead of having this kind of Mossad handler, this emaciated elderly stick insect following around everywhere, saying that that's his wife? He's married to this like 60-year-old shady person who used to be a school teacher. Well, they used to, in any other country, they'd lock you up for that, wouldn't they? Teachers would go to jail for things like that. But I was going to say, all French men are a bit gay, aren't they? All French men are slightly gay. Ooh la la, that kind of thing, right? I don't care about that. But the fact that he's keeping up this pretense, the fact that he is as connected as anything. Macron is deep state, yeah. Macron was only put in there because what was the main rival party to Le Pen's Front National was failing, so they put in Macron as a kind of like is a way to attract the voters away. And then of course they rigged the whole thing, didn't they? Hello, David. How are you? Hope you're all right. What I should do, guys, before I forget, because I usually forget, don't I? I'm going to go through your comments you left on the notice, the show notice, or the live stream notice. Charles from Project Camelot said, 9:30 your time. There's a call-in show over at Terry's. You come with your book and tinfoil, and I will say absolute rubbish. Bring Steve mumbling too. That's a fair match. I'll see what I can do, Terry. I will join you if I can. I'll need to have a little break and get something to eat. But if we're still going later on, maybe I'll join you before bed. And who is this? This is TK. TK says, "Hi Ben. Why are the Russians leaving chemtrails with their rockets that they fire at Ukraine? Are they part of the plan to manipulate the weather while pretending to attack Ukraine?" I don't think so, TK, because most of the rockets we see in the news being fired at Ukraine are simple clips from Call of Duty, aren't they? It's like this whole thing. There's these massacres that's supposed to happen. This railway station that's been bombed. Do you know that President Putin is calling for international observers to visit the crime scene, apparently a fresh crime scene in Ukraine. Guess what? NATO won't let it happen. Why won't NATO let it happen? Putin is saying, "Come, okay. If you think I killed a load of rail travellers with a bomb, come and have a look at the crime scene." He wants it open. He wants to be completely open about this. And there's the NATO saying, "No, we don't want to look at it. We don't want to look at it." Why is that, eh? Oh, the babies in the incubators. They took the babies from the incubators. You know, when a trick keeps working, keep using it. Diego Rivera says, "Do they live in the shadows?" says Steve-071. Charles, under the bed, Steve. In the cupboard under the stairs. Like, they're not Harry Potter. Harry Potter's not an alien. Charles, lurking on the street corner. Helen Tucker on my housing estate. I'm sure there are aliens there, yeah. What's this here? Oh, there's one I can't read here from Charles, which for some reason is blanked out. I'll try reposting it. Hang on. Unformatted text. Didn't work. Okay, not to worry. Marley Pumpkin says, "More film reviews by the MI5 shell. No wonder you never get kicked off YouTube. Lightweight garbage." Oh, right. Marley. Or should I watch Richard to give you your real name? You got to get over this, man. Get over it. Get your head out of shellhead. Get your shellhead deprogrammed. I'm not a shell. I think that's all of them now. Maybe I'll just check there. Oh, here it is. I'll just check I'll just refresh the page. Although, it's running very slow. Hang on, I'll forget it. Anyway, guys, where were we? That's the whole thing now. That's all. I've done the comments in the chat in the notice now, because I delete the notice when the live stream's over. Greg H. Stop when our politicians were caught partying. I think they would somehow get round that. If it's more than that, I think. I mean, the politicians' partying was disgusting. It was disgraceful. Of course, they all did that. I mean, Emmanuel Macron didn't kiss his grandmother through a pane of glass at Christmas, did he? Do you think Kamala Harris sung carols over Skype with her family? Of course not. They all break their own rules. They're all hypocrites. Boris was called out on it because they want to get rid of him. Tina says something here. I was going to contact you about this matter. Chemtrails were terrible here this morning when I opened my curtains at 6:30. When I left for work, they were really dropping them big time. And by the time I finished work, Tina, the sky was like white. It was pure white. Niles Lois Mattis says all the French Africans have voted for Macron by post or proxy. Yeah, funnily enough, because of the way France works, its overseas territories are just simply counted as part of France. And of course, postal votes. We all know about postal votes and proxy votes, don't we? How many dead people are going to vote? 180-year-old voters in some cases, weren't they? How many people are going to vote twice? How many Macron fans are going to be allowed to vote twice? How about how many boxes of polling slips are going to be dropped off in the middle of the night? All the stuff that was done in the US in 2020 is going to be done in France. Then what's going to happen? Either the generals take over, or France goes down the toilet. We know that they've done this before. France is a naturally unstable society. I think they're on their 4th republic now. Is there a 5th one? John Nolan, just blame it on the Germans, Ben. I'm not Michael Shrimpton. So, Terry. Oh, thank you. Thanks for Terry. Thank you very much. I'd love to join you if I can. I'll join you if I can. I don't know what you're asking, Terry. Thanks. I'll have to. Maybe I'll join you later. I'll have to get something to eat though. But I don't know if I'll be finished by half. What's the time now? It's 8. Oh, I'll be finished by 9:30. Yeah, I'll be finished by 9:30. But anyway, back. As Ronnie Corbett would say, on with the vote. Oh, on with the vote. On with the joke. The joke, the vote. Yeah. Where are we now? I'm just going through comments now. Woody Black, yes, if there is a coup d'etat in France, it'll probably be for the best, and hopefully it will have an effect on other dodgy democratic dealings like the one in the United States, and I'm sure it happens in other countries. It's not a secret. I mean, do you remember when we covered this at the time? I read a list of all the elections that have been interfered with, mostly by the bloody. CIA. Klopp says LGBT bollocks divided. The alphabets, yeah. Right, Diego Rivera says the trans MP did a doctorate in commentaries panspermia, alien life, creating life on Earth. Really? You mean he's into the same sort of thing as Chandra Wickramasinghe and Fred Hoyle? Who's this guy? I mean, he's been in the bloody news. Yes, oh God. He's been in the news, hasn't he? I'll have to look at it. Obviously, he's only in the news because he's trans, but I'd be interested to know more about him. Steve, are you going to the weekend conference in Hull next month, Ben? No, Steve, I think I can't. I'm banned, I think. I was banned from the first one. It looks like I'm still banned. Oh, Terry says she's not starting for another 90 minutes. Right, you are, Terry. Send us the email. I'll join you if I can. I'd love to be on your show. I'm sorry. I can't read that out. Sorry, mate. Hello, head injury. How are you? Woody Black, he doesn't look trans. He's just some bloke saying he's trans. Oh, like that Australian guy who self-identified as a woman. He's a typical Aussie masculine bloke, beard, muscles and things like that. And he goes into he renewed his car insurance and self-identified as a woman so he could get lower premiums. Kloppite. Ben, what do you think 2030 will be like? Oh, I don't know. We haven't got there yet. Seeing as my predictions for 2020 were so out, they were so out, I think, Kloppite, I wouldn't like to say. Jess Sperry says, I'm just putting it out there. Putin and Zelensky are on the same side playing for their New World Order masters. No, I don't think so. Hertfordshire here, says Clopper. Hello, Hertfordshire. In Hertfordshire, all right. Here, guys. We talked about They Live, weren't we? It's the French. It's the French election. It's hardly been mentioned in the news until now. But yeah. Now it's Macron and Le Pen. It's Macron and Le Pen again. It's a replay of the last one. And of course, we all know what they're going to try and do. We all know who the deep state want. Steve, banned for what? Oh, Steve, you have to... Where do I find the details of that? Tiberius Kirk, ZXR Alien Warrior. I did an interview with him. Go to Hapanwo Voice, and there's an entire video all about it. Yeah, we'll just post a link if I can find... I don't know if I can find it. Well, certainly not when my browser's this slow. I'm able to find it, and I'll post a link. It just explains everything. Oh, sorry, it's not working. Hang on. There we go. Let's just have a look. I'll post a little article. It's like a 10-minute read. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. It's called an article called "I'm Banned from a Conference." Yeah. And it explains everything. It's a sad thing, really, because I mean, I don't want to cause any trouble. Obviously, the organizer doesn't want any trouble. I don't think the organizer has any feelings of malice towards me. It's just that he believes that that because people who go there who don't like me are turning up, that there'll be some kind of trouble. When obviously that's not going to happen. And indeed. One of them was at the RawCon, as you know. I talked about it on the video, and we didn't get on. We didn't speak to each other. We just avoided each other. Woody Black says do a live stream on the French election tomorrow evening. When's this? When I'll do one when we know the result, Woody. I'll do one when we know the result. Not Wednesday. I'm going to be doing something else on Wednesday. Yeah. Yep. Oh right. Diego Rivera says the trans MP was taught by Chandra Akrama Singh. Bloody hell. I got to look into this guy because he's in the news because of his trans. But, maybe... he sounds like an interesting guy. He does. He sounds like he's thinking outside the box. Goon Love, hiya, how you doing? Jacob says, Ben, banned might become your second name one day. I've only been banned from that. It was really a new experience for me because I've never been banned from a conference before. It's Lisa, has the other person been banned? No, they haven't, and the organizer said it's because they bought their tickets first, and there's a group of them. However, when I guaranteed my good behaviour on the day, and indeed since then I've proven to him that I can behave well in the presence of these people. So maybe I can't help asking. Maybe the reason that he banned me was because they couldn't guarantee their good behaviour. They refused to guarantee their good behaviour. And of course, that's easier, isn't it? The thing about it is, like, if this is, maybe I'll say more about this in another video. I certainly said it in the past. Lisa, I know what you mean. It's upset me a lot because couldn't we just? I was suggesting a 24-hour unconditional ceasefire. I've talked, actually, guys, I talked about this briefly in my last video I did before the last one, which was the second part of the Weird Weekend North. No, I want to ask a question now. Let's get back on topic. I want to ask a question. So I was going to say, like, not banned. No, I've not been banned from a conference ever. I've always been really good at conferences. In fact, people really like having me at conferences. As Steve said, I bring publicity to them. I always enjoy myself. I always have fun. I always get into the spirit. I mean, if there is one criticism, you could make of me, at a conference is that I tend to get a bit manic. It goes to my head. The experience of being there goes to my head, and some people find that a bit overbearing. That's the only criticism you could actually make of me. But it's not a problem, guys. I mean, there's lots. I am going to probe. I mean, this is the thing. It's only one conference. It's not a big deal. It's one conference, and it's. I don't think the organizer is actually. I think the organizer is doing what he feels he has to do to preserve good order at his conference. I don't think he means me any harm. And it's just one conference, guys. There's lots of others I'm perfectly welcome to go to. Probe is coming back. The Probe conference is going to. I think it's the last weekend in May at Lytham St Anne's, and yes, I will be going there. Of course, I'm going there. Yes, I'll be taking my Hapanwo TV camera. And it'd be good if you guys could go there too. Get a ticket. I'm also going to that thing in Blackpool, the Ancient Aliens Awake thing. I'm going to. That should be fun. I'm going to the basis. I'm actually speaking in Dorset in early July, and straight after I've done my talk, I'm going to the basis conference. I'm going to the ASAP conference in September. I'm going to, where is it? I'm going to. There's one in October. Yeah, I'm speaking at the Birmingham UFO group as well. Hugo Roon, I imagine you, Ben, are similar to me. You don't feel the need to shout at people or get angry with anyone. Only when necessary, Hugo. Only when necessary. I don't generally do it for the reasons most people do. I do it really. People have got to do something seriously bad, like the droid trolls. Like as I explained in my confronting droid video, they deserve that. Anyway, guys, let's get back to They Live. Musketeer, you have threatened to confront people like RDH. I don't think that aids your case. Well, as I said, it's when someone calls you an effing servant of the mainstream media, calls everybody you know and respect, but it says bad things about everybody you know and respect. All I actually said, Musketeer, all I actually said was that if he's as rude to me as that again, I will ask him to take a stroll in the car park with me. That's all I said. That's not a threat. That's a suggestion that rather than calling people names from the comfort and safety of social media like he normally does, he can come and say it to my face, man to man, face to face, in a public place. That's all I was doing. DJ Boson says, can you go deeper into the theory that the Russians are in Ukraine because of aliens or UFOs? It's too far off topic, DJ, sorry, but I do mention it in the last comments reply video. I do bring it up there. Back to They Live. It's difficult to stay. I know how difficult it is to stay on topic. Let's talk about Holly. Holly, as you know, as I explained, appears in the film when, quite by chance, Nada basically just needs to get the hell out of Dodge. The police are looking for him. What's that? What was that? Sorry, Charles, I'm very sorry. I think I might have accidentally deleted your message. Sorry. All right, codename Big Ben Dongs his schlong. It will be brutal. Oh, God. Sorry, I deleted that by accident, Charles. Holly, of course, comes into the story. Really. Oh, Goonloves loves the film. Yeah. This is the perfect live stream for you. Quite by chance, like I said, Nada needs to get the hell out. He's shot some police. He shot up a bank. The police are looking for him. He hijacks the car with Holly in, demands that she shelters him at her home, tries to reassure her, tries to be friendly with her, tries to avoid, antagonising her, but then of course she does fight back because she's a home invader. She's scared. She bashes him over the head with a bottle and throws him out. Rhiannon says a feminist analysis of Holly would be that she was a victim of the patriarchy, just trying to survive. Discuss. Rhiannon. Obviously, there is no patriarchy. It's a cultural Marxist unicorn. However, she of course is in a vulnerable position. There's a strange man in her house who's basically hijacked her at gunpoint. God knows what he's going to do to her, or what he might do to her. And she's in fear of her life. And, of course, in that situation, she's entitled to defend herself with any means necessary. It's not a patriarchy. It's just the fact that she's got this strange man in her house. It's not. There's nothing systemic about it. It's. I wouldn't politicize it. Of course, the feminists will politicize it. They will politicize a biological fact, which is that, a woman on her own with a strange man in her house is in a very, very dangerous position. And Jeff Sperry says, I thought she was very submissive. And he has a mullet. Well, in the 80s, lots of people had that kind of hair. But she obviously keeps her head. She's cool. She's a director at the TV studio. Now, what's interesting is, then, of course, she comes back later as a member of the resistance. This seems to be completely coincidental. Benji says, it felt like I was watching They Live during the pandemic. Oh, I know what you mean, yeah. And now the thing is, this seems to be a very, very... Nihilist says Roddy was the epitome of the toxic male. Yes, he was a scruffy, working-class git, wasn't he? Yeah, white. We don't know. We don't know if he was... He didn't come across as gay. He may have been. I don't know. He came across as... he comes across as straight. Of course, this is never... You never find out whether he's gay or straight, but he's still a white male, and he's working class. He's a slob. I know you're being sarcastic, Rhiannon. It's all right. But Holly, of course, then is revealed as part of the resistance, and what happens? She helps them break into the studio, and this is what's weird, because, of course, I suggested that she was a Hawleyan agent. But I wonder if she was. The reason is, when does she turn against them? Because she becomes a turncoat, doesn't she? But she only does it at the very last minute. She does it at the very last minute, just before. Rick Horden says, Heiko Koo is the living street preacher from They Live, Ben. I don't know who he was. He's this old black guy who's... Well, in the film he's blind. I don't know if the actor's blind. Funnily enough, again, you get this this thing, this idea of this sort of left-wing feeling, because before wokeism came along, there was a lot of kind of inverted snobbery on the left. And when the blind preacher finds Nada at the church, and he discovers their secret, he says, he grabs him and says, let me feel you, let me feel your hands. And he says, oh, you're a working man. He feels that his hands are rough. You're a working man. Oh, you're all right then. See, yeah, there's no real there's very little background to Nada. Of course, he doesn't have a name. You don't find out much about him, yeah. Rhiannon says he was being very toxic because he was trying to shame Holly by being able to walk around without a coat in cold weather. And Rhiannon says, no, Ben, she was not a turncoat. She was manipulating them. I don't think she was. I don't think she was a turncoat, not originally. See, I don't believe she was a Hawleyan agent. Because it's possible, I mean, it's easy to interpret it as she was simply an undercover policewoman or spy that had been inserted into the resistance movement to undermine it. Of course, that does happen to resistance movements. But then why did she only turn against them at the very end? Why? See, it's only at the very end. What happens is they get to the top of the tower where the signal's broadcast from. They have to fight their way up. They fight their way up there against the security guards. Of great gunfights and things like that. She's with them. She's armed. At any point, firstly, why did she help them in the first place? She could have killed them at any time. She could have killed her. Rihanna says, you're only saying that because you fancy her. No, I don't think so. No, I'm not Rihanna, honestly. But the thing about it is, like, oh, you're addressing Jeff. Sorry. Why does she works with them from the? Why doesn't she when they're in the studio at the bottom? They break out of the underground base. The guy giving the tour vanishes with his teleporting wristwatch. And then they find Holly. They find Holly in the office. Now, she had numerous opportunities from that moment on to either lead them astray. The answer is because she didn't have a choice. She was going to shoot the wave thingy. She would have rather continued playing them. He was going to do it, but then why? She didn't want them to. If she didn't want them to back then, why didn't she lead them somewhere else? Why didn't she kill them the moment she had the chance? Why did she shoot them beforehand? But she waits till the very, very last minute. I think we've got some spammers in there. Naked H. Oh, God, who's this? I think it's a spammer. I don't know who that is. She could have been a new and improved alien that can master sunglasses. Maybe. Jock says, do you think Carpenter knows something? He must have an interest in the bigger picture. This is the question, isn't it? This is the question I want to know. What I suspect maybe is this theory about Holly. She is, when she realises, and she doesn't quite grasp the full magnitude of the situation, and she's never really thought about it because she's never been faced with this situation before, that they're actually going to destroy the antenna and switch off the signal. Jeff says she accepted the 12 pieces of silver. It could be that at the very last moment it suddenly struck her. It's the reality of the situation she'd never really considered before. And it suddenly struck her what was about to happen. They're going to switch off the signal. All the people in the world are going to be able to see the aliens. They're going to be able to see the subliminal messages. Everyone in the world instantly. And she just thought, no, we can't do this. You see, what it could be that typical materialist feminist. She's very sort of she's a director. She lives in this posh house. Because like the guys, do you remember her neighbours? So you see her going into the house with Nada, and they look weird because, of course, that's not the kind of man she'd normally be seen dead with, would she? She probably just panicked. She probably thought, we cannot allow this illusion. It's a horrible thing. I've been against it, but if it goes, what's going to happen? What will happen to society? What will happen to people if the illusion is removed instantly and completely in a single go? And she just panics and she shoots Frank. Then she goes up the stairs and tries to shoot Nada. After she just kills Frank, and I'm going to go and kill Nada now to stop him doing this. She just suddenly struck us. She never thought about it before. Just in that moment, it struck her that as awful as the signal is, the illusion is, taking it away from people and showing them the truth. It would be like a lot of people think it would be like this sudden injection of truth would be devastating. And you know what? She's got a point, hasn't she? She's got a point. I don't think it justifies withholding the truth from people, let alone killing two men to prevent it from happening. But I don't think she was a Hawleyan agent at all. I don't think she was a Hawleyan agent. I think she was someone who was genuinely working for the resistance until she was faced with the reality of what the resistance was going to do. Hello, Maureen. How are you? How you doing? Truth Seekers Northeast, Maureen. Hey. Oh, it'd be good to see you again. You and the rest of them sometime. It'd be really good to see you again. What do you think? Do you think Holly was that? Do you think Holly was that? In more interesting, do any of you? This is even more interesting. Do any of you think that her actions were justified? I'm actually going to nip out. I'm going to nip off to the bog for a minute. Think about that. Do you agree with me? Oh, Maureen, It hasn't arrived yet, Maureen. It hasn't arrived yet. Do you agree with me that that's what she was? She was not a Hawleyan agent. She just suddenly turned coat at the last minute. And secondly, do any of you actually think that what she did was justified? Whole brain human, hello. I'll come back in a minute. I'll scroll up for your comments. And I'll be back in a few minutes. Any ghosts appearing while I was out? Oh, ghostly manifestation on my wall. Oh my goodness me, I've missed a few things, haven't I? Well, I'll go back a little bit now. Woody Black thinks she was an agent. I don't think so. It doesn't fit. She had numerous opportunities to firstly lead them astray, so they couldn't get to the transmitter. Secondly, why did she wait till the last minute? If she led them to the transmitter. Why did she do that if she was an agent? Why did she kill them earlier on? Any time they weren't expecting her, she was armed. She could have just turned on them and shot them at any point. Andrew Sly, sorry, what's the topic? It's about the film They Live, Andrew. Woody Black says, I think she was getting paid off, bribed, whatever, to sell out humanity. Typical feminist. Again, yeah, well, that would be a typical feminist, wouldn't it? However, again, why did she lead them to the? She led them to the transmitter, and she led them to the transmitter, and then killed them. Ahmed Adams, she was overwhelmed by the fact about and the repercussions if the illusion is cut. Yeah, I think it suddenly struck her. At that moment, and she'd never thought about it before, just like it was often the way, you can often imagine things happening. You could say, I'm in the resistance, I can just imagine the moment we set everyone free. And then now faced with the reality, she sees it differently, and she just decided at that moment, we can't do this, we can't do this. It sometimes happens, people just suddenly, when they're faced with the reality, or with the real, something real they thought about a lot and they've not really understood, suddenly they're faced with it. Oh my God, it's actually going to happen. No, we can't let it. Holbray says, is that a FW190? What's that? Head injury. Yes, I got my Masonic floor tiles. Well, Shripper says, remember When the Wind Blows. It's a very sad book, yeah. It's a very sad book indeed. Rhiannon, Holly was a snake-eyed narcissist. Maybe that was it, yeah. Nihilist lives matter. RDH suddenly snuck in and stole a single shoe to fuck with your sanity. What shoe? My shoes are over there. You can't see them. They're behind the settee. Hello, War Babe. How are you? Jock, Holly seems like a confused NPC. I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right about a realisation. Maybe, Nihilist, maybe faced with the reality, if the signal goes, there's no need for a resistance and life loses meaning. Well, that's another possibility, isn't it? Again, that would be typical of a feminist. I mean, a lot of these wokeists, if they don't actually want to achieve what they say they want to achieve, because then what would they do with their lives? But in some cases, how would they earn money? Oh, the model plane. Yeah, I've got a model plane. I can't show you all of it because some of the symbols on it are banned. But this is a I forgot what it is. It's a German warplane from World War II. Yeah. Charles says RDH is a grubby, paranoid hobo. Well, he's certainly paranoid, but Gray's not grubby. He's actually very well dressed mostly, and he's not a hobo. A hobo meaning a tramp. He's got a home. But I use it as a paperweight. The plane. It's just a paperweight. Yes, Andrew Slight. Ignorance is bliss. It's interesting. Compare Holly to Cypher in the Matrix. This is a guy who he's freed from the illusion, but then he wants to get back into it. I mean, he does simply probably for his own desires, for his own purposes. He wants to be able to eat that steak and everything. He wants to be an actor. He says, "I don't want to remember anything. I want to be an actor." But ignorance is bliss, he says, doesn't he? And the agents, the Smith says, "Okay, we'll reinsert you. You've just got to deliver the others to us, and we'll reinsert you into the Matrix." And John Kierkegaard says, people talked about we can record UFOs in other electromagnetic spectrums outside normal vision. Yeah, like Nick Hayes does, yeah. The movie with the glasses, you could see the aliens. So the movie They Live was not so crazy. It wasn't, was it? It wasn't so crazy, was it? And Andrew Sly says, "I don't care if it's chicken or steak, if it tastes good." And and as Cypher says, "I don't care if it's real or not." He says, "This tastes lovely, and I don't care if it's real. I don't care that it's not real." And so, and just like Soylent Green. Oh, Silent Green. Well, if you remember, because when they were on the ship, on the whatever kind of... I can't work out if it's a submarine or a spaceship or something. It used to go along these tunnels. They have horrible food to eat. They said, "Oh, it's horrible stuff." So, so the question is, maybe Holly's similar, but she made I do think she made the decision spontaneously. It wasn't something she planned. Armand Adam says, "I bet Ike had kittens when he saw the film They Live." Oh, God, Armand, it's because of him that I went and saw it. Charles says the first Matrix was really good. Don't know what went wrong after that. Yeah, the sequels were not up to standard, and I haven't even seen the most recent one. I didn't go and watch it. But the sequels were very unimpressive. I mean, to be honest, it was a tough act to follow, wasn't it? So the question is it justified? You see, I think the people involved in the UFO cover-up are like this. The people involved in the UFO cover-up, some of them say, "Well, look, we've got this cover-up, we've got this truth embargo. It's our own fault for doing it in the first place, but now we've dug ourselves into a hole we can't get out of. Because if we tell everyone the truth, what's going to happen? What will happen? What will be the effects of people learning the truth? And of course, in my book, Roswell Rising, A Novel of Disclosure, I address this in that book. If you haven't read the book, please do go and read it. I mean, yeah, it's a shameless plug. It's a shameless plug, but... And, of course, I want you to buy it because that's how I earn a living. That's my livelihood. Well, partly my livelihood. But you will like it. I'm giving you something as well. Holbren says, do you think they in the movie was a metaphor for the Luciferian elite? Yeah. Although I think it's not so much a metaphor. I think maybe we should interpret it more literally, Holbrain. You see... They probably sat around saying, look, now you actually, there's evidence to suggest they have this idea. Where is it? Where is that thing? It's in my UFO Truth magazine folder. PDFs. Oh, God, not real. Come on. Come on, you slow bastard. Where is it? I actually want to read you the quote, so I want to actually find it. But this is very interesting. Oh, maybe I can find it. See if I can find it in a browser. It's just it'll take ages to open or something like that. Okay, Brookings report, aliens. Here we are, communications technology, extraterrestrial life. Sorry, my computer's running pretty slow. Here we go. In December of 1960, 3 years following the Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik and just months prior to Yuri Gagarin's and then Alan Shepard's flights into orbit, a team of Brookings... Let me show it you. Let me show it to you. A team of Brookings researcher led by Donald N. Michael issued a report to NASA's Committee on Long-Range Studies entitled Proposed Studies on the Implication of Peaceful Space Activities in Human Affairs. In his transmittal letter of the report to NASA, Brookings President Robert Calkins wrote that NASA and the Brookings institutions agreed that there was a wide range of studies on the social sciences that could be made of the potential benefits and problems arising from the peaceful use of space. Oh, where's the whole thing? Hang on, where's the famous... Let's go back a bit. Technological attitudes and values. You see, it's an entire thing. Here we go. The penultimate section is 2 pages about the implications of the discovery of extraterrestrial life. The authors recognized the unlikelihood of face-to-face meetings within the next 20 years. They nevertheless looked ahead at the chances that artifacts left at some point in time by these life forms might possibly be discovered through our space activities on the Moon, Mars and Venus. Yeah, like the face and the pyramids. A discovery... This is the actual PDF. It takes a while to warm up, this old thing. You know, here we go. The implications of the discovery of extraterrestrial life. I actually downloaded this. I just can't find it. Recent publicity given to the efforts to detect extraterrestrial messages via radio telescope. That was Frank Drake and what he did. I talk about it more in my SETI discussion. Has popularized and legitimatized speculations about the impact of such a discovery on human values. It is conceivable, but that there is semi-intelligent life in some part of our solar system, or highly intelligent life which is not technologically orientated. Well, I wish there was some on Earth, quite frankly. Anyway, and many cosmologists and astronomers think it's very likely that there is intelligent life in many other solar systems. While face-to-face meetings with it will not occur within the next 20 years, how do they know? Maybe it's already happened. Unless its technology is more advanced than ours, which it is by definition, if it's qualifying it to visit Earth, artifacts left at some point in time by those life forms might possibly be discovered through our space activities on the Moon, Mars, or Venus. And as it happens, they have discovered them on Mars. They did go on to discover them on Mars. That's the interesting thing. If there is any contact to be made during the next 20 years, it would be most likely by radio, SETI in other words, which would indicate that these beings had at least equal their own technological level. An individual's reaction to such radio contact would, in part, depend on his cultural, religious, and social backgrounds, as well as the actions of those he considered authorities and leaders, and their behaviour, in turn, would in part depend on their cultural, social, and religious environment. The discovery would certainly be front-page news everywhere. The degree of political or social repercussions would probably depend on the leadership's interpretation of its own role and threats to that role, and national and personal opportunities to take advantage of the disruption or reinforcement of the attitudes and values of others. They're so Machiavellian, aren't they? When they're only talking, they know that few people outside the chosen audience are going to read this. They're incredibly candid. It would be most advantageous to have more to go on than personal opinions about the opinions of public and others' leadership groups. Yeah, that's why they do these psychological studies, don't they? The knowledge that life existed in other parts of the universe might lead to a greater unity of men on Earth, based on the oneness of man and on the age-old assumption that any stranger is threatening. Yeah. But that could cut both ways, couldn't it? The unity of men on Earth, unite against the threat. And indeed, this, I believe, they've really taken that on board. Much would depend on what, if anything, was communicated between man and the other beings, since after the discovery there will be years of silence, because even the closest star is several light years away. An exchange of radio communication would take twice the number of light years, separating our sun from theirs. What if they're already here, though? I mean, that would make it even worse, wouldn't it? Anyway, I'll let them continue. Bear in mind, this concern, ladies and gentlemen, they're showing, bear in mind as you read this, is simply for aliens living thousands of light years away. Oh my God, there are aliens on a distant star. God help us. Right, now just imagine how much more concerned they would be if they realise the aliens actually aren't on that distant star. They're here on Earth with us. They're in our solar system. They're even on this planet. It says if the fact that such beings existed might become simply one of the facts of life, probably not one calling for action. Yeah, unless whether Earthmen would be inspired to all-out space efforts by such a discovery is a moot question. Well, I suppose it would be, obviously, wouldn't it? Anthropological files contain many examples of societies sure of their place in the universe, which have disintegrated when they have had to associate with previously unfamiliar societies, espousing different ideas and different life ways. Others that survived such an experience usually did so by paying the price of changes in values and attitudes and behaviour. Yeah, for example, Australian Aborigines. I mean, when Captain Cook pulled up on the beach in Botany Bay, they were astonished. They were these huge pale creatures that came out, and it's like, and as a result now they were decimated, and they turned to drink and things like that. Oh, it's awful. Yeah. So that could happen to us. Since intelligent life might be discovered at any time via the radio telescope, research permanently underway, and since the consequences of such a discovery are equally unpredictable because of our limited knowledge or behaviour, even on an approximation of such dramatic circumstances, 2 research areas can be recommended. That's a lot of gobbledygook there. They're trying to hide what they really want to say through long sentences and unusual words. Basically saying, since intelligent life might be discovered at any time via a radio telescope, or indeed, as I say, UFOs, they don't know what's going to happen because they don't know anything about the phenomenon. They haven't done the social research either. Knowledge of behaviour even under an approximation of such dramatic circumstances. Well, what if it's more than an approximation and the dramatic circumstances are even more? Oh dear, anyway. Okay, there's some footnotes here. Continuing the studies, to determine emotional intellectual understanding of attitudes and successive alterations of them, if any, regarding the possibility and consequences of discovering intelligent extraterrestrial life. Historical and empirical studies of the behaviour of peoples and their leaders when confronted with dramatic and unfamiliar events or social pressures. Such studies might help to provide programs for meeting and adjusting to the implications of such a discovery. Questions one might wish to answer by such studies would include: how might such information, under what circumstances, be prevented to or withheld from the public? For what ends? There you got it. It's not recommending a cover-up, but a cover-up is on the table. What might the role of the discovering scientists and other decision-makers regarding release of the fact of the discovery? And that's the end of that particular segment. The rest is a new segment. So let's take you back in. Now that is simply people concerned about finding a radio signal from distant stars. Oh, I've missed a few comments. Here we go. Just go up a little bit. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, imagine we are actually being visited. They're not just out there, they're here with us. They're able to come and go as they please. They cannot be intercepted or destroyed by our technology in most cases. What would those same people who wrote that document recommend or think about that? Oh, David Schultz has just posted one of my favourite quotes by Robert Anton Wilson. On a planet that is increasingly resembling one huge maximum security prison, the only intelligent choice is to plan a jailbreak. Yeah. Buy seeds, says Lisa. Yeah, good idea, Lisa. Richard D. Hall, he is leading the way in this sort of thing, isn't he? He's going off grid, and good for him. I understand. I mean, I could do an entire show on that, but yeah, it's in a way it is something positive, but also something negative too. And Darnish says the world's governments would love aliens. They could spy on us and curb our freedoms under the pretense of protecting us from getting probed. Ah, well, you see, they're gonna try that. You see, Niles. Of course, in reality, they can't stop us getting probed. That's the problem. I discussed this with Reeves. They can't stop us getting probed, and they would have to admit that, and they don't like admitting when they can't protect. They don't like admitting their weakness. The Brookings report, yeah, it's let's go up a bit. So what? Now just imagine that's. You see the difference? Niles Lives Matter mentions that Yuri Gagarin, the first cosmonaut, supposedly died in a mysterious accident. Yeah. Stephen Dodds explains Heiko Koo is a Marxist long-term speaker at Hyde Park Corner. Right, okay. I've never heard of him. Ben, said Armand, what do you think about the first photos taken by the James Webb telescopes? Are they going to be classified according to They're going to be classified according to LMH. Linda, I've not seen Linda's commentary on this, and I've not seen the photos. The problem is you can't actually classify these things. It's, as I've explained before, astronomy, there can be no cover-ups in astronomy. Astronomy is the one truly democratic science. All the data is above our heads. I bring this up in my SETI video. If you've not seen my SETI video, please do. Or the one that Tajinder Gill, the one that he recorded, is much better. So, Lisa, thank you for deleting this bloody this troll. Thank you very much. Not a troll, I think a spammer. Someone's spamming the chat. Thanks for getting rid of them for me. So the Brookings report states that people should be concerned about finding a signal from a distant star. I know I ramble a little bit, and I'm answering comments at the same time, but I will get to the point I'm trying to make here. That's what they're scared of. We know that that's not actually what's going on. It's far, far more extreme than that, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Far, far more extreme. Oh, what's that? What's that? Is it? Oh, is it stopped? No data? Excellent connection. Bloody stop. Did I stop at any point there? Can you all hear me all right? I assume you can all hear me okay. Oh, stop. They keep putting these warning symbols up on here, saying that, oh, there's not enough data. David Schultz is another one. If there's life on other planets, the Earth is the universe's insane asylum. Voltaire, yeah. Voltaire was a very wise man. So, I mean, I don't know if there's any problems here. The point is, like, obviously the reaction and the fear would be far more extreme. I paused for a short while, Lisa. Okay, Lisa, I'm back now. Good. Buffered a bit. Right, I don't know why that happened. I don't know how much I missed. But the point I'm trying to make is that the reaction from the Brookings report to the real problem of aliens... I did stop. Okay. Thanks, Hugo. I'm back now. The point is that their reaction would be... Thanks, Woody. Thank you. Their reaction would be far more extreme, wouldn't it? And then you've got to ask the question, what if it was even worse than that? What if there was a real scenario like in They Live, and you're suddenly going to take away the signal that protect... And admittedly, it's their fault. It's the people who create the people who create the illusion, who set up this situation where they have to keep these secrets from us. It's their fault because they kept us in the dark. But now they're suddenly in a situation, maybe they didn't, they're in this situation that they created themselves, casting a wave of delusion over the population. And they say, oh no, how are we going to stop? How are we going to stop this? How are we going to get ourselves out of this situation? If we give people the truth, they'll just go nuts. And if you think about what could happen, they're scared of public panic. Winston Churchill said he didn't talk about recording the interfering bastards. That's the thing. Winston Churchill, after World War II, said he did a investigation into UFOs, what they called Foo Fighters, in 1944 and 1942. He didn't reveal it to the public because he was scared of public panic. This was a British public that responded to World War II with enormous stoicism and bravery. We dealt with rationing, we dealt with the Blitz, we dealt with having our husbands and our sons and our fathers going to foreign fields to die. We didn't panic. We had the Blitz spirit. But Churchill was concerned that people would panic if we learned the truth about alien life. What did he know that we didn't? So maybe these are the thoughts that were going through Holly's head when she got them to the top of the tower. They were about to destroy the antenna, and she said, her courage failed her, and suddenly she thought, no, they're actually going to switch off this signal. It's actually going to happen. Oh my God, no! And she shot Frank, killed him, went up and tried to shoot Nada. And of course, she failed. They did switch off the signal, but. Oh, my eyes are itching now. But that's what I think the role Holly played. That's what I think it played. So what do you reckon, guys? Do you think that's true? Because the final few scenes in They Live, everyone can see the aliens all of a sudden, and what you don't find out is what happens after that. It ends literally minutes after the signal's taken off. You don't even hear the woman screaming when she realises she's shagging an alien. Because that was obviously what's going to happen next, wasn't it? Ah! He says, hey, baby, what's wrong? She looks down at him, and then it cuts to credits. They're possible in that situation we would just go crazy. Society would break down. We would no longer function as social beings. I think that is what these creatures believe. Now, I personally don't think that would happen. I think it's possible that people who believe that are being used by people who want to cover up, for example, UFOs for... Just went deaf, Ben. All right. I'm actually recording this. I mean, if it's too bad, I will actually just simply upload the. I will simply upload the recording. Oh dear, we got the spammer back. It's all right. Oh dear. So what do you reckon? David Schultz Holly was a turn traitor to the human race. Yeah, I don't think what she did. Thanks for deleting those, Lisa. Thank you. I don't think what. If you can, I think you ban them for 300 seconds or something. I don't think. Oh, I screamed. I see. I made you deaf, right? So I was doing an impression of that woman. It's obvious what that woman would have done next. Yeah, David Icke tells this exact story about a woman shagging a reptilian. Yes, in one of his books, he spoke to a lady who had that experience. It may even have been. It may even have been Jenny. Sarah. It may even have been this woman. This woman who wrote the book. It's. Oh, by the way, I found out what that book was called. Here we go. Here we go. It's this book. If I can make it appear. It's a very good cover by Neil Haig, actually. There we go. The Body Snatchers by Susan Reed. The true story of body snatching by the reptilians. And this is what people often report they look like. They don't look like the aliens in They Live, but they have this kind of appearance. And it's got a new cover now, this one, which I don't think is as good as the old one. And that's the back cut page. Oh, it's by TGS. Oh, they're good. TGS used to publish David Icke stuff. Conspiracy in the Heavens. That looks good. That's another Neil Haig book. Oh, sorry, I'm going off topic now. But poor Jenny. Yeah, poor Jenny, who died. Just interestingly, I don't think. Yeah, I personally don't think. Am I buffering really badly? Oh dear. What I'm going to do, is I'll probably upload the recording to this and just delete this particular live stream afterwards. I've got it recorded. I can easily upload it in place of the live stream. Now, yeah, just Woody Black. Imagine waking up next to that after a light and a night out. Yeah, you see, a lot of people would be in that position, wouldn't they? And in this case, this woman Jenny was married to one of these beings. Oh, Lisa's not buffering for you, right? I'll just have a look and see what it's like. I have it recorded anyway. I've got a recording of it as well as the live stream. So, guys, I don't think what Holly did was justified. I think I think there's something sacred about the truth. And I think I don't disagree that there may well be a huge social cost to the truth coming out. I don't disagree that shooting that signal generator, destroying the signal that prevents people seeing the aliens, indeed, and obviously it is metaphorical for TK. Don't remind me. Jimmy Savile was a hospital porter. I know. I don't like being reminded of that. It's awful. But I don't think it's justified. But obviously it's true. It would cause terrible social problems. I'd love to know what happened after the end of They Live. What kind of society emerged with the aliens exposed? Obviously the people that turned on the aliens probably killed them, driven them off the planet. What kind of world would they produce? But I don't believe it's to say, well, it's better. Oh, Lisa's talking about Sherlock. Yeah, I will do that. I'll watch that. It's better just to keep people within the illusion. Do a cipher and say, let's just stay within the Matrix, because kicking everyone out of the Matrix is going to be too painful. I don't agree with that. I think we have to risk it, because there's something sacred about the truth. There is something sacred about the truth the truth must be respected, and people have to be respected. People have to be allowed the chance to be intelligent adults who are calm and can indeed move into a new world free from lies and cover-ups and conspiracies. Indeed, the entire Roswell trilogy that I wrote is about that. David Schultz mentions a guy called Antonio Villas-Boas, a guy in Brazil in the 1950s. He was indeed abducted and ended up having sex with an alien that looked very much like a human woman, although she was distinctly different. Rick Horden, yes, the Holly, an interesting name. Do you think it's reference to Hollywood? Maybe. Maybe what they called her Holly. Holly Thompson, her name was. And maybe I'm reading too much into it. Thompson is actually it's a contraction of Thomas's son. Thomas was the doubter of the apostles, wasn't he? The doubting Thomas. TK, would you give up her Panmo yogurt for the truth, Ben? Oh, TK, don't push me, don't we? What, dilemmas? So, and Holly is used by wizards. Yes, it is. It's sacred in as Armand explains, in pagan world. So, that's the question, guys. That's what I'm wondering. Do any of you think that what she did was justified? Just out of interest. Put your hands up. I'm gonna end this in a minute, actually, because I need to have a little break, and I want to try and go on to Terry's stream. Any of you think she was justified? Not sure, TK. Yes, she was justified, Armand says. Okay, that's interesting. No, Woody Black, no. Right. So, Armand, you believe that the exposure to the truth is sometimes... God, what was that? Steve says, no, Ben, the buggers need exposing. Rhiannon, no. Not justified, but what would most do? Lisa, exactly, it's not justified. But there will be consequences. I believe that the deep state Illuminati will fall. In fact, if they haven't already, Lisa, maybe this is why we're being eased into it slowly. Lisa, isn't that right? Maybe that's why they're easing us into it slowly. You know what you were saying on your show about how the deep state has already gone. The good guys are in charge, but they're gonna decompress us slowly, like divers coming up from the bottom. Sue Hayward Tonkin, hello, how are you? Says, I think if I ever saw an alien or a spaceship, the first thing was a hoax by the government. The aliens would have to take me on a trip around the universe to convince me. It's always a possibility, isn't it? Yeah. And Armand says, imagine the chaos if she did turn the signal off. Yeah, Armand, we never see the chaos, do we? But Lisa says, eventually the lie will finish us off too. It's a dilemma for them, isn't it? It's a dilemma. If we don't expose the truth and live the lie, eventually that will finish us off. Yeah. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or two, says Armand. So Lisa, is it possible, because Lisa and I talk about this on her show, and she believes, and I think it's possible, and indeed this is why it ties into things to do with Trump and 17th letter of the alphabet, which I can't say on YouTube, which is, basically, we are in a situation basically where the good guys are now in control of the signal, to use a metaphor of boiling frogs, says TK. Yeah, it's a kind of adaptation of the boiling frogs metaphor. Yeah, which is that the good guys are now in control of the signal to go to the metaphor if they live, and they don't want to switch it all off straight suddenly, do they? They want to do it slowly, bit by bit, to avoid that very problem that Armand mentions, which Armand is actually right that probably would happen. But Rhiannon says, without the truth we have nothing. Simple but true. Yeah. I do not think it is justified. I don't think, however we do it, whatever the consequences, the truth has to come out. And the consequences are going to, and the truth, the real truth, is going to be awful. You're going to see people weeping in the streets. I mean, the UFO cover-up, 9/11, JFK, free energy, that's bad. But what about the stuff? What about what's being done to children? The scale and the severity of what's happening to children. That, I think, is going to be the clincher. That's going to be the really bad one. That's going to be the one that really, really, just really breaks us down badly. But, we still have to... Another reason why the truth has to come out, despite the consequences... And Armand, I'd like you to consider this. Initially, Hugo's sort of on the fence. He said, yes, no, yes. What about the suffering that's caused by the cover-up? Can we allow that to continue? Practically, if not practically, what about morally? There's human trafficking, what's done to the children, the suffering caused by various cover-ups. Use one. I'm talking to Terry Joyce. Sorry, it came up earlier in the... Sorry, I've been invited on to do a stream with someone else. And listen to Lisa's show. It's Lisa did an interview, as she said, with some... So, that, I think, is where I want to leave it. We've been going for over 2 hours now. Basically, They Live is a fascinating film. I recommend it to everybody. Do watch it. You won't regret it. And I think it's a complete allegory of our times. And not just... It is allegorical and metaphorical, but also maybe it is literal. And I think there are... I don't believe they're literally like the aliens you see in the film, but there are people wandering around today who are not real people. They look like people, they have human bodies, but they're not. They have a different soul. So with that, guys, Armand says, no, I can't go on, but I could not live with the fact I plunged the world into hell. Armand, I think you probably feel a very similar way to Holly. You do. Anyway, Steve, well, I'm going to leave it now. So good night, Steve. Good night. And Lisa, thanks for all the modding. Thanks. I see we had a spammer in there, which is bloody awful. But Lisa, thank you very much. Oh, Hugo was being awkward. I do agree with you. Well said. All right, Hugo. No worries. So it's basically everyone, but everyone agrees with me. I think Armand is the only one who does take that position, which is fair enough. I'm not going to judge you for that, Armand. Nighty night, Paul. Night night, TK. Oh, Terry Joyce. She posted a link to it. It's Not My Rabbit Hole with Terry Joyce, Woody Black. It's 9:30. I think she's starting. But David Schultz, take it easy. You're very welcome, Lisa. And see you, user one. Bye, night, TK. Night night, user one. Night night. Thanks for posting. Everyone who's been in the live stream, thank you. What kind of useless, awful live stream would it be without you guys? I'd just be sitting here doing a monologue, wouldn't I? Night night, Rhiannon. See you soon. I'll talk to you on Twitter. Night night, Bernie Tucker. Thank you very much. Obviously, the recording of this will be available. If there's any problems technically with it, I'll just... Night night, Maureen. I'll simply upload what I recorded on OBS, which hopefully won't be necessary. Night night, Armand. Take care. Thanks for joining us, all of you. And with that said, the 37 people still watching, thank you very much. Time to have a little break, and then you'll see me over on Not My Rabbit Hole with Terry Joyce. See ya.